Painting for PTSD episode 5. Have a very unique, exciting show for you today. It's January 3rd, and I'm going to flip around for a second. I'm down at Black Label Artistry. Let me hold still. Black Label Artistry. The address is 6914 Shelbyville Road in Simpsonville, Kentucky. Just a little bit east of Louisville area. And the reason I'm down here today, my daughter is doing her final for microblading. I'm gonna give you some more shots here. I'm gonna flip around. But she's one of my daughters that's in the medical field in nursing. But she's expanded a little bit to this course, microblading, and today she's doing her final. My wife is getting some eyebrow tattooing and lip tattooing. So we're going to go and join them in the room here in just a minute. And why am I here? Why am I talking about this? Flip this around a second. Black Label Artistry. Microblading, permanent cosmetics, teeth whitening, brow tinting, lash lifting, rejuvenating facials, beard tinting, training academy. And that's what my daughter is completing, training academy. Why is this important? You know, as I've told you in episodes before, I'm gonna sit down here for a minute. Having PTSD, there are many forms, there are many outlets, there are many causes. You know, I'm former military and retired police and corrections, and I've talked, this is episode 5, I've talked about recognizing, admitting that I do have PTSD last year at age 56. Took me a while, stubborn. Didn't really think that it was, but it is. So here's an outlet. Here's a very unique, I've mentioned my daughters both had incidents that had happened to them when they were younger girls, teenagers. And there's some problem. There's some struggle, some depression, some frustration, some anger. And here's an outlet that she has chosen. So we're down here. We're going to get down here in the room a little bit, just kind of moving around. She did the mapping. Now she did some numbing up here before doing the eyebrow tattooing. And you're going to see the owner, Lacey Young. She'll be popping in and out. She is certified to teach many, many different things, does a lot of this, and as well as tattooing. So Black Label Artistry down here in Simpsonville, Kentucky. She's just setting up over here in the color room, so we'll give her a moment. We're gonna jump in here into the live room. Got to flip this around. This is is the numbing on?
Yes.
Okay, so we got some mapping and the numbing, and now we're waiting 20 minutes? Okay, so that's what's going on. That's what's going on with this here. Thanks for joining here. Isaac, PTSD is real. It's very real. So today we're going to talk a little bit, and you're going to hear me. What kind of outlets? I did one yesterday. My wife and I talked, and we've been together 30 years. So she's been through this police career and corrections, and well, that was a bumpy ride, wasn't it?
A little bit.
A lot of out of control days, a lot of bad days.
Yeah, but we had good days too.
And we had some good days. Well, yesterday, episode 4, it's called Tree Project. And I told you there'll be a lot of these episodes that we do together because I cannot survive handling a PTSD alone. And that's normal, and people can't. They need somebody. And I was very fortunate in life, 31 years ago, in a lot of prayer that God would send the right person to me to help me get through a career like this. And he did. And I have this beautiful woman here. 30 years we've been together. 30th anniversary is next month, everybody. So talking is an outlet. Exploring. I found as I get older at 57, the more that I read and look into new, such as me painting and crafting like my wife does, the more that I look into this, the more that I get away mentally from other. And January 1st, we had these, they're terrorist attacks. We had these incidents in New Orleans and Las Vegas, and instantly that flares me up. I want to get guns out and start putting bullets in my pocket, kind of a day. I had that. I made a video. I talked about that stuff. And I have to real quick find a way. And we're down here, and today she said, you know, we should just do this live. And this is the kind of things that you can have an outlet. So she'll be back in here in just a little bit. You know, I believe it was episode 3, I talked about the year of 1997, the year my oldest daughter was born. And in that last 4 months, how many fatal car wrecks I went to, how many fatalities of teenagers from heroin overdose I saw. And I talked about that. You know, then I have 3 grown children now. My youngest is 18. Same age as these that I saw and that I talked about. And it's different, you know, when your kids become adults, that you have adult conversations in ways that you're not just, hey, you're this high school this and the kid's that. Thanks for joining. There you go. I see that. Thank you. Here's an outlet. Here's an outlet. Something new. Something to be creative. So let me flip the screen around here a little bit. She got the numbing medicine on. She's just gathering up some ink there. Got some ink over there shaking up. Yeah, we don't want any stale ink on her eyebrows there, darling. They might make it look. Nah, I don't want to put any pressure on her. She's doing her final today. She's doing a great job. I've seen some of her work in her practice. But this is kind of an outlet for her, creating something. My wife does crafts, a painting. She creates. And through the act of creating all the different ways, like I said, even painting kitchen cabinets is a relief, a release. It's an outlet. Outlets are very important.
Yes, they are.
That's how you get past things. That's how you get up every day and find something to look forward to a new day. You know, one great thing that my wife and I do, relieving stress and dealing with pain, is we say, let's go Goodwilling, and we'll go run around 3 or 4 Goodwill stores. You know, that's not painting or crafting, but that's our outlet to deal with this things in life that's caused this stress. I know a lot of veterans, you know, and I'm a veteran, Air Force veteran. A lot of veterans, you know, they use tattoo and many tattoos and things like that. And that's kind of the thought of receiving pain, the pain from tattoos. And I have one tattoo, small one. But that's the physical pain sometimes takes away emotional pain. That's fair thought to say, isn't it?
Yes, very much.
You know, and that's what makes some people lean more towards cutting and eventually the suicidal and getting very close. Physical pain is their outlet. Well, instead of physical pain, how about physical painting? Painting eyebrows, tattooing the lips. You know, I showed you the sign outside, all the different things, the teeth whitening, creating something that's different. And my wife and I, we have a close friend. I just say his first name, Scott. He's retired police. He was in special forces. He told me a few things that explains why he lives in the country and he's not around people. But he does airbrushing on motorcycles, and now he does tattoos as well. So that's a big outlet. You go from special forces to airbrushing. That's a big change. But it's something that he had to do mentally, emotionally. He had to do that change.
Yeah.
Are you feeling numb?
I can't tell.
You can't tell. I'm not going to touch it.
No, don't touch me.
I don't know if I don't know what to expect about this. But if you had your eyebrows tattooed on here, post a comment. Let us know. Tell us your experience, because we're in the beginning of this experience. Look at the painting behind me. I can paint circles. I could put like a collage of circles together. I don't know if it would embody a message or a spirit or a thought like this, but it's interesting. But you're going to see me, the beast painting here one day, just maybe next week. I've got the canvas out. I did take the plastic off, remember? Craft and paint also is something that's not loud noise. There's some light in here, obviously. You know, got some bright light kind of a thing, but it's a little bit more, you know, of a quieter environment, less triggering is what I'm getting at. There's not things in here that's going to trigger me, not sounds. You know, like I said, cars backfire. That muffler sound doesn't trigger me. I've messed with mufflers enough in my life and been around listening. It doesn't give me that gunshot feeling. It's totally different. But have you identified your triggers? The triggers that make things easy. She has. She's got triggers right here.
Oh, yes, I do.
She's got a trigger. Don't get close. Don't get in her face unless you're doing eyebrow tattoos. But one of the things I learned really quick from her and our dating, even before engagement, you know, from episodes of things from her past, is not to be close to her and stay out of her face. You know, if my voice is raising, it's getting loud, just step back. That's identify these things. That's how you survive PTSD. The post-traumatic stress. Post is the key word here. Her and I, we're in post. We're just sitting here right now, just smiling, being comfortable, waiting for her to get back in, doing this microblading here. Black Label Artistry, folks. Thanks for joining them. Down in Simpsonville, Kentucky. Daughter's taking her final for microblading. So we're just doing a live here. I can't do the eyebrow stuff. No. Huh? No.
You don't want to have your eyebrows done?
No, I don't think I need to darken them up.
I don't think so either.
Not till the wrinkles go away and I get a tan.
A tan. On a beach.
Yeah, on a beach. You know, today the news, after last night, this Las Vegas incident, terrorist attack in the Cybertruck, this, in the video I made, and somebody posted in a comment asking me a question about the explosives in the back. And I said, you know, it's real convenient that, you know, and I made a general statement what the police said in a press release. You know, camping fluid and firework mortars in the back. Not what you normally would put together for a large explosion at a hotel. A gun at the feet of this man that was some special forces. Kind of looks like a setup to me. Kind of looks like an easy and convenient way. You know, I don't know. Did he pull the trigger and hit the button to explode at the exact same time? How does this work? How did the gun fall exactly by his feet when the car exploded and burned up? Or the Cybertruck? Why was that vehicle used? There's too many questions that dig deep into the government. And why is this important? Today they're going to identify everything and go through, and you're going to see Facebook and social media posts and all that. Why? Because this is the stuff that causes stress with people. You know, this incident, the George Floyd incident, is not the first one that I've lived through in a law enforcement career. It's not. I was around when the Ferguson incident happened 10 years ago. I made a video and talked about that, how it made a difference. I started police in '92, just right after the Rodney King incident, and talked about that as a police instructor. To see these incidents that are just terrible. The whole Rodney King was just out of control. That's just officers that not recognizing the drugs he was on. You know, he was high on shoot, I can't even think what it, angel dust, PCP. Thank you, honey. She's my memory here. When somebody's high on PCP, they're not going to feel anything physically. You don't change. And when you watch that video, he wasn't trying to be aggressive. He was getting up. There's a difference when they're getting up. And they were taught, and I was taught, and I have taught officers arm bars and techniques how to get people on the ground and avoid that kind of situation that Rodney King happened. Those things, they bother me. Then we have the new one, Robert Brooks, that died December the 10th. And
That was terrible.
I saw a statement last night. It was posted in a bunch of correction groups I'm in, that somebody saying that the Attorney General, everything, and that charges are coming. I'm really disappointed now, January the 3rd, that nobody's been charged yet. One officer resigned, 13 are suspended pending investigation. I know they're gathering statements, and I'm going to make a separate video about this, but when I watched that, it kind of ruined my night. I showed my wife the next morning because I knew she wouldn't sleep, and it was terrible. It just bothered the both of us. They just beat him, just sit around the medical like that and stand around and watch and kick and take turns. That doesn't even look like a bad police parody.
Mm-mm.
Not even a police comedy would be something that terrible.
Mm-mm. That's terrible.
But that bothers us. These are things. It's not always what you see. PTSD is not always what you have done. Yes, people and soldiers, people in war. I was in the military pre Desert Shield, Desert Storm. I got out in 90. I watched a Turkish sergeant shoot one of his people 10 feet over my head in the guard shack. Blood dripping down on the floor, on the ground, right by me, outside by the perimeter fence. Just sometimes it is what you see. It's what you hear. It's what you know. It's what's been done. How about this as a stressor? When you work in a field that people tarnish and continually do things to hurt the reputation of your career, your chosen career. How does, when I started police right after Rodney King, that word came up sometimes. I'd pull over a car, have different people in, white, black, Hispanic. People get out and say, "Oh, Rodney King, you're going to Rodney King me?" And that came up, and that was real offensive, and, that upset us as a police officer. I'm a young kid in my 20s, police officer, and we going to beat me like Rodney King? I can't tell you how many times I heard that. No, I'm just going to write you a speeding ticket. And then I'm going to go to Dairy Queen, probably get me a big old ice cream cone. Celebrate my speeding ticket. Kind of make a joke out of it. I know I'm not going to beat you. But what about, that is a stressor. And my wife and I, we've talked about this. I watched a lot of Hallmark over this Christmas. And the one thing that I really see in there, they really bully people by always having this CEO and this owner of that, and they make these little snide comments. Well, you wouldn't be in this position if it wasn't for me, or I put you in this position. I have confidence you can do that job. When you say something, you're belittling somebody like that. Continue to do that in a working environment, that's harassment. And there's federal laws against that. I know I made a huge complaint in Georgia about that. Georgia Department of Corrections. You can't talk and treat people that way. Don't talk down to people. And this is another form of stress, PTSD.
Bullying.
Yeah, of bulliness. And grown-ups, these kids learn how to bully from their parents. They learn this.
And TV.
And TV. I worked in a prison. I think I became a bully. But, when the inmates are always throwing things at you, bodily fluids, and trying to attack you and stab you, and they treat you awful, you kind of do become a bully. That'll be a topic coming soon. The war in the prison. That's coming real soon. The news. I think news is probably one of the biggest things that sets me off, don't you?
Yes.
Certain things that get on the news, and she knows. All of a sudden, I'm sitting on the couch with brass knuckles on my hands. Or I'll go to the other couch pocket and get the little knife out, or utility knife out.
Or your machete.
Or I get a machete out right in the middle of a movie, and I shouldn't. That's a stressor. That's the reason we're doing this podcast here. My wife is a part of this, Team Beast. She's a part of Decisions, and 7 years, we've been on YouTube and then doing lives starting last year in 24. Got to listen, and I've always listened to her in this career. I've called her with many odd things. I've called her one day. We were going to go have dinner, meet second shift to go meet at Bob Evans.
Mm-hmm.
Called her one day and I called and I started yelling and cussing like on the phone, like, I'm sorry. She said, what's the matter? And I said, I asked the judge if taking 3 kids away and placing them in different homes for 2 days until a relative drives down
Mm-hmm.
from like Wisconsin to Kentucky. And the oldest of the 3 was pregnant, almost 18 years old, and she was going to be allowed to stay with this boy, the baby daddy, the boyfriend, and his parents, who had a brand new home. And they said, we can keep all 3 kids together. Nope. The judge said no. So I'm here with the cabinet family and children to remove these kids, the other 2, 11 and 2 years old. The oldest has raised the 2-year-old because mom and dad, one's dead and one's in jail as a drug addict for drug charge, doing federal charge, not getting out. So I called, had dispatch, can you patch me through to the judge on call? Well, you shouldn't do that. Well, I need to. I've never asked a favor. I need to talk to the judge. So I get on and talk to the judge. Hey, Joe Buck, how you doing? Good morning. Hey, Joe, I'll tell you where I'm at here in just a second here. This is a great show here. But so I call and talk to the judge and I ask her, her husband was a judge. Ex-husband divorced. They both knew me. And I says, look, I've never asked you for a favor. Here's the situation, blah, blah, blah. It's very stressful to take them and separate them. Can they stay together for 48 hours until the relative gets here? And the judge threatened to throw me in jail for contempt just for calling in and asking her a question. And I'm telling us like, gee, I'm a police officer. I'm supposed to help people and help kids and be here, make good decisions for families. And I get the judge threatened to throw me in jail. Joe Buck, my buddy, he's going to be on a show here. We're going to be live together where you can see him. And it'll be just like this, me and Joe sitting like this together. We used to be neighbors. Joe, I'm down at Black Label Artistry down in Simpsonville, Kentucky, just east of Louisville. My daughter, middle daughter, I don't use names, he knows, but she's taking her final. Hey, Joe, check this out. My wife is getting, this is the part of the final, eyebrow tattooing, microblading. Getting permanent eyebrows on, then she's going to get some permanent lip on. So, Joe, if you need some permanent lips or permanent eyebrows, let me know. We got the hookup down here at Black Label Artistry. So that's exciting. Joe says, hey, Mom.
Hi, baby. Hi, Joe.
See, we're doing this together. But we're just talking about, to Joe, some different outlets and using, people don't think of this. They go to the doctor, they go to counseling. Hey, I got PTSD, okay? Take this medicine, take this antidepressant, anxiety pill. Come back, do this. I want you to focus on something, get involved in community group, and they start going through a list of stuff.
Yeah, but PTSD doesn't actually have to be something like from a war or police groups. It could be from
exactly
diseases you have, like
diseases.
Cancer, my CRPS.
Yes.
All these different diseases and stuff.
It is. Thank you for sharing that. I said that in recognizing this before, and I talked about, being even car victims, being a victim injured in a car, the diseases. She has this nerve disease, complex regional pain syndrome. So there's a lot of things that can cause people this mental and emotional stress. But here's an outlet, Joe. Taking up microblading, taking up, body art, things like that are not involving a gun and knife like my life, computers like your life, but creating and painting and making something, taking the world, make the world as a canvas, paint a picture like this, do some microblading, get some tattooing, or pictures drawing, making a tree like we did last night. You got on. Hope you had a good night's sleep. Went to bed about 8 o'clock, I think it was, 7:45.
Not me, man. I went to bed at almost 2.
Yeah, Joe went early. We went late. We just checking on Joe here. But this is,
That's my family.
I think the numbing here is about done. I'm very curious what happens after the numbing. I don't know anything about this. So we watched her practice, and we're waiting to see. Yeah, Joe, get me to LOL. Yeah, everybody, we are at Black Label Artistry today. Sergeant Beast Larson here, talking about outlets for PTSD. What outlets do you have? And my daughter's taking her final in microblading, and this is an outlet for her PTSD.
Yep.
As soon as the numbing gets done, we're going to get some live action going here about the eyebrowies. We'll see how that goes.
I'm a little nervous.
You know, there's some folks, some veterans that I've seen, watching what they do in their Facebook pages and stuff. They get into chainsaw art, like down in Gatlinburg, using chainsaws, cutting out ice, sculpturing, tree sculpturing. I do have a bear in the garage that I took a chainsaw when we lived in Georgia. I took a tree stump and watched, and looking down in Gatlinburg and from a picture, and I tried to chainsaw carve a bear. I did a pretty good job for my first time, but it's not something I would be a great skill at. But a lot of construction people, my dad's a carpenter. He builds and builds and builds. I've never asked him if he's got any PTSD and any kind of stress. He was a preacher. I know some things happened in the church, some political things. Somebody started an uprising against him because he wanted to be the pastor of the church instead of my dad. And that was kind of really bad to do, a church in a Christian environment. That really upset me. But I don't know, it's a good question, honey. I should ask him. Hey, Dad, do you have any PTSD?
Yeah, you should.
Just see what he says. He's 81 years old. He's still working carpentry, building stuff.
That is one of the hardest working men I've ever seen in my life.
Get me a good answer.
He's awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, we're waiting here. I kind of started this after the numbing was on and she was going to get the ink, because I wanted to kind of give a little bit of talk and introduction and some things. This shelf over here is very interesting with face and a lot of cotton and a lot of different. Hopefully all of that doesn't get on at the same time on the same person.
No. No.
But make some comments, folks. I'm looking for idea for to set up a specific date and time to have this as like a weekly routine. So, as you're watching this, I know Google tells you morning times, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday are best times for podcasts. Today's Friday. Thank you everybody for joining. We're talking about painting for PTSD, finding outlets. You got to have outlets. You got to have ways to let it go. Don't let it build up. So today's outlet is my daughter taking her final in microblading. Not on me, though. Not on me, obviously. My wife here, she's getting the eyebrows microbladed. Music, my daughter, this drives me crazy because of migraines and things going on, and I'm doing some testing in the head and the neck. But she always has music playing everywhere she goes. She has now for about 8 or 9 years. That's kind of like her security blanket. So the reason I bring up music, there's some musicians, there's some groups, David Draymond of Disturbed is very big about mental health, depression, addiction. I've seen several videos where people come up out of the audience and talk about stuff, and just tears rolling down their face, their struggles and sacrifices and where they're at now. Five Finger Death Punch, Ivan Moody has his first place opened in 2023 up in Wyoming. And I forgot the name. It's on the tip of my tongue. Forgot the name of it. But he got the permits, everything federally to have an addiction mental health counseling facility. And that's very exciting that we've got people that in that area, rock stars that are taking their life and their time to push for mental health awareness and improvements. My daughter here is she's an adult. She's a young adult, young lady. But there were times years ago when she was in 12 and 13 and 14 that we could not find counselors, people to sit and talk with her and talk with family.
Well, there's a
It,
shortage of them.
it's a shortage, yes. And for adults, you can jump around for adults and go anywhere you want. What's your insurance? Oh, you got this, you got that. Yeah, we'll talk. Well, what about when my child is 13 and they need to have some talk? What about that? And the system failed. Music, the security blanket.
I'll be right back.
Some things changed. Okay, I'll be right here. So she got into nursing. She homeschooled through high school, was a CNA in a nursing home for 3 years, and then CNA in a hospital now for 2 years. So she's got 5 years in already. And adding this microblading here is another step opening up to help people, cosmetically and not just working, in a nursing home, not just working with seniors. She's just expanding, and it's exciting. We're proud of her. So we're finishing her final here today in microblading, Black Label Artistry down here in Simpsonville, Kentucky. So they got they're preparing. They're getting the tape off and everything like that. I'm just checking out here in the lobby, coming out here to sit for a minute as they prepare for the last. The owner here of Black Label Artistry, an instructor teaching my daughter. Today is her final. It's a great way. Great safe place here. Comfortable place to relax and just looking around in here. I just feel good. I don't feel like the news and the world events are overwhelming me. And that's important in dealing with PTSD. You go to the doctor in a hospital, and I had spine surgery and I went through a lot of stuff in the last year. RSV really bad a year ago. I've been through 5 bouts of COVID. You've got to surround yourself in a place that makes you comfortable. The environment, the look, the feel, the temperature, that helps to de-stress people. That helps people to be comfortable. So this kind of, for instance, my wife's close friend has cut her hair and colored her hair about 25 years. Every time we go to see her, it's very relaxing. Great environment, fun, laughing, have a good time. That's what it takes to get through PTSD issues. I don't hear police sirens going on. I don't hear ambulances passing by. I don't hear the noises that would trigger people. I don't hear the loud anything in a place that is peaceful. So I hope you can find that place. Go back and look at the episodes. This is episode 5. Look in the beginning and episode 1. Acknowledging, admitting. It took a lot for me to say and to admit that I had PTSD. And then after that, it took me more to figure out, talking with my wife, what am I going to do about it? How am I going to handle this? And that's been a year. Well, actually, a year and a half ago, I stopped writing on my 3rd book. Cool. What you working on, Joe? You painting today? That's about 18 months ago I stopped on this book. And it's just piece by piece trying to identify and put together. I know the 4 letters. I know the words post-traumatic stress syndrome. I can say it out loud. I can say things out loud. But where do I go and I focus besides, sitting in a chair in a corner? And today we're talking about outlets. I think in my police career, and Joe will know, Joe's going to laugh about this. When he was my neighbor, I used to do strongman back then. And, days as police were stressful. I'd come home and I had a 700-pound tire and I'd roll it out to the street. Undertaker. I'm not quite. Thanks for joining, though. But Joe, he lived like across the street and 2 houses up. I'd get out and flip that 700-pound tire up and down the street practicing for strongman contests to qualify for nationals. I did like 16 contests in 3 years, went to nationals twice, got a fourth and a third place in my category. Yeah, my front yard looked like a moon with all the craters. But that would thump, man. And then my neighbors, the guy across from me, Matt, he was on the same police department as me, on the sheriff department. He was like, "Man, the China was doing." I said, "I know, but I waited till you were awake. You know, we're on different shifts. I let you sleep, and then I did it. I was on day shift. He was on third shift, and so I'd get out flipping around dinner time. Things in the house be jiggling. I'm doing all that, and Joe would come out and laugh. He'd be like, "Hey, I'm doing good. How you doing there, Amerigo?" Just talking about finding some outlets. You know Matt. Okay, cool. And you know Chris and Mike, his brother and his dad. But yes, okay. What I'm doing here, Amerigo, it's a podcast series I started. This episode 5, Painting for PTSD. And it's fine. Yes, very nice. Finding outlets for dealing with PTSD. And today I'm down with one of my daughters. She's doing her final in microblading. I'm down in Simpsonville, Kentucky. It's called Black Label Artistry. So today's her final. My wife is getting, yeah. Well, that is one outlet. In one of these episodes, I'm going to talk about pain management and how that relates with PTSD, and that is a lot of people have went straight to that. You know, they're just using that, smoking pot, getting the THC, trying to get that relaxed. The problem with doing that, it relaxes you, but it's the same thing as with drinking alcohol. Once the alcohol goes through your body, once you smoke and you're done, guess what? Your problem's still there. That nightmare's still there. That vision's still there. You know, I've seen people on the floor dead in a position that there's no drug I can take to make that picture ever leave my head. Slovakia, greetings. Spread some love, positivity. Like button so I help. Have a blessed day. Thank you, Tommy. Thank you for joining. My ADHD addiction, number 52. Okay. There we go. Now I'm still here. There we go. But Tommy, you're talking about ADHD medicine, is they're classifying it as a depressant now. And I'm like, really? You know, I had somebody tell me I was high functioning ADHD. I said, what does that mean? They said, that means that you're too old, that you were never diagnosed when you're young, and you go from one thing to another. I was like, I'm just energy. I just take good vitamins. B complex, a lot of protein shakes. Joe knows that. Get me a 5-hour energy and start flipping that tire. Or I pick up that stone in the front yard. Big old round stone I used to have. 200 and 220. But yeah, Amerigo, psychosis medication. When I started getting treatment for migraines, you know, they gave me Depakote. It was a generic for Depakote. You're going to die laughing. Joe, you're going to die laughing for this. I can't remember the name of it. I have to research the name again. But this generic medicine for Depakote made me hallucinate. And I'd wake up panicky, like pulling at my skin. And I thought I was a werewolf trying to pull the hair off my body. And this happened to me a few times. And I took the Depakote for about 2 weeks and called, and they told me to stop. I was panicking, like I fell out of bed and I was stuck in the corner. You know, world closing in on me and crushing me kind of a thing. Terrible medicine. But here's the funny thing about that. The generic form, when I worked in a prison down there in Georgia for a little while, the inmates figured this out. This generic form is also used to treat ED. So all these inmates are all of a sudden have migraines. They tell the doc prescribes this. So now you have inmates that don't have migraines or headaches taking a migraine medicine that is making them hallucinate and feel like this. And it's also supposed to help with this erectile dysfunction. So you got 250 inmates in a prison, max security prison, doing life without parole, murderers that are now on erectile dysfunction medicine. And you wonder why the inmates keep raping each other. They're working in prison, they're in a prison the rest of their life, and now they're getting a free pill that's solving ED problems. Yeah, they were really happy with that for a while until I figured it out. One of the inmates told me, "Hey," I'm like, why is everybody all like this? Why is everybody crazy, wanting to fight and wanting to be everything? Man, we got so many sexual assaults, and this old timer says that's because they're taking this medicine. And they told me and what it was, everything. I went to the doctor, and they're like, "Well, yeah, that is a side effect. It can cause like a relief of ED." I was like, "You need to stop this because change this medicine for migraine." And they did. They contacted the head of the psychology department there for the state of Georgia, changed the medicine. All the inmates were mad. They about started a riot over that. But hey, you that's the name of the game. They're dealing with PTSD in prison as well. Give them a pill. It's like giving them Viagra to a bunch of inmates. That's the result we had. It was terrible. So the medication does not take away from the PTSD. By haircut, what about barbering, cutting hair? It's actually an outlet for me shaving my head, and I kind of create this. It's not a high and tight. It's not a mohawk, but I've cut my own hair for a long time. I've used weight training as a release. And when you go with police and you see a dead baby and you go to the autopsy of a 1-month-old baby to see if they die from SIDS, you need to go home and work out because you're mad at those parents. You're mad at SIDS. You're mad at the environment, at the world. Why did this baby die? I've seen 2 babies that I've carried them that have died from SIDS as a police officer. And it's terrible. It's terrible. I just don't like it. I know a lot of people out there that they have done and they have carried. They have had things happen during pregnancies and labor. We talked to somebody yesterday that had a baby that was stillborn. It actually died a week before delivery, and she had to go a whole week carrying the baby dead inside. We talk about some PTSD she's going to have. Young lady, she needs a lot of prayers. She needs a lot of help to get through this. So everybody on, I always ask, hit the like button for me. Tell me what state, what country you're from. Tommy here from Slovakia, just stopping by saying hello to us a little bit ago. Tommy underscore my ADHD addictions, hashtag 52. Thanks for joining. Amerigo, Joe Buck. Joe Buck was a neighbor. Thanks everybody else. Isaac, Jay Wed, Monique, that's joined. Thank you for that. Just, it kind of lets me know around the world, my Facebook groups, I talk to people that work in prison all over. And I talked last summer. It was funny. I'll tell you this PTSD issue. I made a comment about stab vests and that, and he said he works in the UK. He works in a prison. He said we don't have weapons for the perimeter. I said, over here in America, in the United States, they got guard towers, and them dudes up there. We had a Mini 14 and a shotgun. When you worked on tower duty, you go up, you check, make sure they're both, bullets there and stuff, functional. Rifle and a shotgun in case somebody tries to get out. They get to that second fence. They get over that second fence, they get shot. Period. That's how it is in America. And he said, we don't have that, but we only have, we average about 8 to 10 escapes a year. I said, this prison I've been at has had 1 escape since 1975 because the rifle's in a tower at the perimeter. So he said that working in UK at the prison, very stressful. A lot of inmate assaults, stabbings, shivs, making the shivs over there, stabbing each other, taking anything, just rubbing on the concrete, make it a point, just anything, just small enough, screwdriver size even, just to penetrate somebody's skin and stab them. But it's terrible. I've talked to a prison officer, prison guard that works in Jamaica, and he said never get arrested in Jamaica and the Bahamas. That jail you get arrested and get taken to is terrible. You will be treated terrible as a tourist. So, folks, you're watching this and you go to Jamaica, you go to Bahamas down there. Of course, you know Mexico's in the top 3 countries for organ harvesting. You know, they do something, somebody attacks you, all of a sudden you got a felony assault charge, and then you wake up with a bandage all over your stomach and your side, and you're missing an organ or two. Yeah, talking about having some PTSD, that's going to bring it out. We got some action going in here. I'm going to go back in the room here. We're looking at some creativity and dealing with PTSD.
And you know there's no overlap, right? Like that's one. There's one right there, and then this is the first one that barely comes down.
We got this going. Lacey, is it okay if I turn the camera around to show this real quick?
Sure. Are there a lot of people
Here we
with us
go.
right now?
On and off.
Cool. Hey guys.
This is Lacey Young, the owner, instructor, teacher of my daughter here at Black Label Society in Simpsonville, Kentucky, just east of Louisville. Today is final day.
Yes.
She just showing and everything, and she talked before going on live about a lot of things that she does, that she's certified to teach in, and my daughter here is just getting involved and taking her first final, getting her feet wet in the industry.
She's done a lot of practicing, a lot of studying, a lot of case studying. She's ready. I feel like this is probably super stressful on you, but I feel like having to be responsible for saving lives in the hospital is way more stressful than this, you know?
Yeah, I don't know.
This is, it's just your mom.
Yeah, just mom.
Yeah.
I tell you what was stressful was going over to her house and having Christmas dinner, and then all of a sudden here's the rubber thing on the table and here's the tattoo going in. She's going to town on this rubber practicing eyebrows.
On the faces and the
And like, hey.
They're
Scary.
but they're very realistic and very lifelike. But we want to make sure we can get as close as that to possible because we don't practice on people's faces.
No.
My kids love opening the mail. They're like, "Mom, you've got a head in the box." I'm like, "Oh, cool. Just set it to the side. It's going to work."
Yeah.
Oh no.
But I was looking for dessert, and the table's covered with eyebrow equipment and tattooing. So we didn't get dessert over at her house, did we?
No, we didn't.
No, the pumpkin pie was too hot. We had to go home and eat the one because I made one the day before.
Even though they look like they do right here, but right. So one's longer. Keep that in mind. But you can see everything. You've done this. You know what you're doing. Mom's excited.
You just don't second guess yourself, honey. You know how to do it, and you do it well.
You met her, but that's part of I will say, kind of having some of that over analytical type A personality is certainly one of those things that I think keeps my work as well and great as it is, because you don't ever want to just get comfortable, kind of fall into a slump. The human body, the skin, it's an amazing phenomenon. Everyone is different. They heal different. They behave differently. So we want to tune into and cater to them individually.
There we go. We're just checking in with them. Lacey, helping her out. I'm coming back out here in the lobby. Oh, let me switch chairs. That back light over here is kind of rough. But this is just a different day. I'm in Kentucky, in an area. I'm gonna contact another person I'd like to meet with to be an actual guest. Sitting with me here live in the show. Got a couple, like I said, but we just got to kind of take things slow and easy. Injuries don't heal fast. Wounds don't heal fast. Forgiveness doesn't come fast. PTSD doesn't go away. Addiction doesn't go away like that. Things take time and slow and patience. I did make an announcement. I'm going to wrap up. Excuse me. I'm going to wrap up here just shortly. I did make the announcement video and post to subscribers. Don't forget subscribe. That I met with an apparel company, and next week we're going to finish. I've got some photos. Going to have an online store branding the name Sergeant Beast Larson, and as well as painting for PTSD. So t-shirts, long sleeve hoodies, ball caps are going to be available. A couple different options to start with. We'll add to that later, make some things go. You know, getting into some events with veterans and stuff, and we'll have some t-shirts, some group things to go with that too. This is something that's going to continue to go. So I'll post pictures and talk about that next week, the ones that are actually be available with the online connection. I want to thank everybody today for joining. As I wrap up Black Label Artistry, my daughter's doing her final for microblading. And this is just an outlet for her, you know, being a victim of sexual assault years ago. She still struggles with some anger. And this is really calming for her, working in the medical field and working with elderly folks, dementia folks. That brings her joy and happiness. So you have to find your outlet. Outlets are very important. Having a good time. We're having a good time down here today. My head's killing me. My neck's killing me. It's stiff. You can tell by my eyes, by my movement. Going through more testing. Do epidural injection next week on my neck to begin stuff. Got some problems going on in my neck, some nerves pinching, stuff like that. So thanks for joining. Share this with your family. Share this. Anybody you know that's dealing with PTSD, that's dealing with any kind of mental health issues, depression, share this with them. And we're asking what day and times are good for people. You know, it's hard to listen to this when you're at work. I know, I get it. I do some of these at nighttime. I did one last night. My wife and I, mostly her, we took a tree, little Christmas tree thing and stand, and took the bottom apart, got the wires connected, got it working again, and then she got it painted and some crafting type thing. But we built that together. She's been my rock to deal with this PTSD. 30 years she's been there with me. I know I've said this many times in this hour video, but you got to have somebody that you can talk to. I have not had luck with anything, talking with counselors. I've had problems with them. I have problems with the book version of how to deal with what stresses me out, what triggers me. The book isn't going to solve that. Takes faith, takes prayer, takes patience, takes a good person, and takes outlets. After spine surgery and stuff in my neck, there's no more weightlifting, no more fighting, MMA stuff. That's done. So I'm finding new outlets, and that's why I started this podcast last month, Painting for PTSD. Put the gun and the knife down, the weapons down, which has been my career for over 30 years. Put that down and do something that's creative, something that's artsy. Artsy, I like that word, artistry. Paint, craft, build, make. Popsicle sticks, sketching on a paper, construction, building a doghouse. Anything that has to deal with the building and the movement, you know, creativity, that part of your brain, use that. Think ahead, think and plan. My buddy Joe here is listening. You know, he's been painting, great computer. He's helped me when things went wrong, questions. We talk, we goof off. Hey, I'm do this, I'm do that on TikTok. I'm do this on YouTube, and he laughs and he thinks things are funny. But it's just trying to help, trying to be here and help other people. Thanks for joining. Today's Friday, January the 3rd, 2025. Hope you have a great weekend. Think about the future of this month and this year. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? How do you want to involve yourself with something to deal with any kind of addiction, affliction, any kind of, you know, doctors tell me I have depression. Tell me I You know, want to have different words. Or, you know, tell me I have explosive outbursts. Well, gee, I worked in a job where people tried to kill me. Yeah, I might have an outburst. Come at me with a shank, I'm going to have an outburst. Come get in my face, I'm going to have an outburst. I'm a good striker, I'm a good puncher. You see that from my other videos. Yeah, they want to label and put a name and give me a pill for it. Well, good luck with that. Thanks again. Have a wonderful weekend. God bless. See you soon.